Hold on. And you are live.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Norwalk Public Library Board of Directors for July 8th, 2021. In attendance are Sharon Bedanti, Patsy Brescia, Janie Williams, Ralph Bloom, myself, Alex Knopp. As members, that's a quorum of 5, and Sherelle Harris, our Executive Director. So thank you for attending tonight. Would anyone like to add any items to the agenda? If not, then is there any member of the public who is joined to make a comment? Okay, seeing none. The next item is the approval of the minutes of our meeting of June 10th, 2021 that were circulated in advance. I usually have a number of additions to minutes, but in this case, I did not have any. So thank you. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion and or suggest any revisions?
I just have two changes, cases of mistaken identity. So on page, let's say number 2, the second to last paragraph, it says Ms. Benante asked if there were any situations where books were removed, et cetera, et cetera. That wasn't me. I don't know who said that. Maybe it was Moina. I'm gonna go with Moina. And then also on number 6, B, first paragraph, it says, Ms. Harris gave an overview of the draft library survey. If you go down a couple more sentences, it says, Ms. Benante said there is a trade-off between the length of the survey and the number of participants. I think that was also Moina. And that's it.
That was Moina from her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So those as friendly amendments. Any other changes to? All right. If not, then all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Then the minutes as amended are approved. Thank you. So a few items on the president's report. First, I want to thank Sherelle and all the members of the staff for organizing and planning such a moving and successful tribute to Divya Misra. The turnout from members of the public and friends of the library was astounding and shows the depth of respect in the community, I think both for Divya herself and for the library family. As I mentioned at the time, the turnout of library staff on a Friday night in June in Stamford for the memorial service was also incredible. And I'm, somewhere between a third and a half of the people attending were volunteers or staff or friends of the library. So I hope that Divya's family felt the love and respect that was shown that night. And I know that Janie had a chance to come. Mary was there. Ralph was present. And I want to thank everybody for their participation. Sharon, I didn't see it. Were you there also? I apologize. I didn't see you. And these things let me know you're there because sometimes people are wearing masks and it's a little hard to identify who's who. But
that's okay. I was with my daughter.
Okay. Well, you still deserve to be recognized as a member of the board for supporting it. So thank you, everybody.
I was there also, Alex.
Patsy, forgive me. Yes, I did acknowledge you there that night. I'm sorry. Sherelle, any comments back from the family you want to add or?
They were all very grateful. They thought it was a beautiful tribute. They thought the rose garden was very appropriate because she was an avid gardener. So, and actually, like, I think people stayed at least an hour afterward, just sort of chatting and, reminiscing and catching up. So, everyone was very pleased.
Good. And Mary Mann has joined us. Mary, thank you. I don't see Moyna at the moment, so Mary, thank you. Next, we discussed last meeting about the Blue Teapot, and really are a couple of items. One is that we've agreed that the Blue Teapot can cater events at the library, and we've asked the law department to add that as an addendum, which they have done. And it's up to, since we've approved it in concept, it's really up for the Common Council and the mayor now to act on that as an amendment to the original contract with Blue Teapot to use the premises. Do you know when that's going to happen, Cheryl?
Right now, they just have the wording for, I think it was Exhibit A. They just, wanted to know our wording for how we would add the service. So once I get that back, we should be all set.
Okay. And, Cheryl and I have discussed the extension of the original contract for the Blue Teapot with Najol. And given that she invested so much at the beginning, and then a few months later, we hit the COVID shutdown, it's really been very hard on her to sustain that. And Cheryl and I have thought that instead of a 1-year extension of her agreement, we should see whether we could have the city agree to a 2-year extension so that she would have some security of her operations. And Cheryl, I don't know whether you've heard back at all on that suggestion.
I have not yet.
Okay. So we really have, we've approved the updated contract in principle. I wasn't going to suggest that we approve the actual language because that's a matter for the law department to work out. You want to say anything about the flooring? I wasn't quite sure what our role in that was either, Cheryl.
So I think she and Ralph had discussed that. So Ralph may have some things to add. So we've removed 2 sets of stacks, and so we're ready for the expansion whenever the flooring is ready. Ralph, she mentioned that she sent the invoice to you, and you had mentioned that it was coming from.
They have the estimates for the work.
Correct.
Fortunately, there is quite a bit of the wood flooring still in storage, so that the extension will be matching to what's already there. She's already found she needed 2 additional chandeliers to complete the new space. That she's already secured. And to this will be added enough new carpeting, because when the wall unit comes out opposite the drinking fountain, there's also no carpeting underneath that either. And the carpeting is being defrayed right near the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Get a quote on, if you remember the blue carpeting at the entrance as you come in,
Yeah,
it'll be that color, but it will be laid in squares like it is upstairs in the auditorium. So it's going to be far easier to maintain. And that will be complete. That will complete the new flooring, and that will make it, really quite nice. It'll be clean and very fresh looking. The flooring, I'm just glad she had enough there, but the same people are coming back to do the work. So it should go fairly fast once we're ready to start the work.
so Ralph, I was a little confused from our conversation. Is this being paid for by the Friends or by?
No, this isn't a Friends account. This isn't.
I'm sorry?
This is a Friends account.
Friends account, perfect, okay,
We're treating it just like we did the window shades and things like that.
okay, got it.
I know. I said this is gift money. This is money. It's not coming out of the library account.
Got it, okay, thank you.
So as board members may recall, the purpose of this alteration is to allow her to have more guests in person at the cafe while maintaining a social distancing ethic. And by removing some of the shelving and consolidating the collection, as allows her to have some additional tables. So I don't think we need to act on that other than providing it for information. Cheryl, do you?
I don't think so. It was already approved or agreed upon, so I don't think there's any action or anything.
Guys, any board members have any questions about this? We had discussed it last meeting pretty well. And just so you know, so part of the revision we're making is that we're requesting that the sponsor of any rooms at the library who request catering from the Blue Teapot be responsible for the cleanup. And that will be agreement that the outside entity would agree to as part of obtaining her services. All right, no questions. I can move on then. The item reconsideration policy. Sherelle, is the only change we made in that is the recommendation from the executive director?
So no, and then I added, I really like the idea of, I think Patsy made the recommendation to consult with an expert in the field. I liked the recommendation to have the person who's complaining, for them to contact the publisher too. So while they're asking us to remove the item, at the same time, they can ask, send a letter to the publisher expressing their concerns as well.
Yeah, but I don't, as I mentioned, I don't see why that's part of our policy. That's that the complainant makes and the publisher.
So I put it in as a suggestion to them too. So the onus is not just on us. So just as part of the consideration, not that it's a main point, but just something that we can consider suggesting to them.
Yeah, Cheryl, when did you send? I don't see my redraft of that. Is that in your report?
It's in the report.
Okay,
Alex, it's after the solar charging or the sun charge systems.
yeah, I'm sorry, I don't see. Cheryl, could you point out to me where you made that change?
So it should be under the third bullet.
Well, I quite frankly don't see why that's a consideration for us. I mean, if the complainant wants to do it, that's fine. If they want to let us know that they did it, that's fine.
Right.
But listing criteria that the board will use to make a decision. So if the complainant has contacted the publisher or has not contacted the publisher, how does that work as a criteria on which to base a decision?
We could find out if the publisher plans to remove the book or revise the book.
Well, I don't mind making an inquiry somewhere else, but I don't think it should be listed as
And the
a,
criteria. So maybe we can move it up further. I just think because library stance is usually we do not censor. You know, this is a courtesy, the reconsideration policy. So in the event, you know, the judgment comes down that we're not removing the book, that's another alternative for them to contact the publisher.
well, could I request that we move that bullet point up so that it's not one of the criteria that we use to make a decision?
Sure.
I mean, it's just information. It's not a criterion. Any additional comments on the policy as presented?
Just had one question. It says that they have to have a valid Newark Public Library borrower's card. What if it's someone who just uses the library to see the books and then they leave, or is that?
So you can decide that. I just thought because our taxpayers, you know, pay for the books, that would be appropriate. It's not that we won't, you know, if somebody wants to make a complaint, that's fine. But for a hearing, I just thought
Gotcha.
because it's taxpayers' money.
I gotcha. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, any additional comments? So could I seek the, well, I'm sorry. Then would somebody like to move approval of the revised policy as amended tonight? Could somebody, because I'll move approval of it. Any further discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Karen seconds it. Any further discussion? If not, then all in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Any opposition? Any abstention? Okay, then the motion is approved unanimously. Now, could I ask the board's opinion about this? So the policy calls for us to hold a hearing. You know, we have a pending request that we have tabled during the discussion of the policy from Mohindar concerning a book that he has objected to. And he spoke to the board. We've all received a copy of the matter objected to. He has submitted other materials in support of his request. It's a little ambiguous that we're sort of adopting a policy calling for a hearing kind of after we gave him a hearing. And I just want to know what members think about whether we should have an additional hearing or whether we should consider that we've already acted on it.
I have a question. Could the language indicate that we feel that we've had the hearing, whereas the hearing was held, opportunity to speak to the board was construed as the hearing?
Well,
Something to that effect?
Patsy, the way I read it, the requirement that we have a hearing was not added tonight. It was a pre-existing part of the policy.
Yeah.
What we've added tonight are some.
That's what I'm saying. Can we construe that his presentation was a hearing? Refer to it as a hearing, that we are assuming that was his hearing.
Well, I think we could. My suggestion is that we consider it a hearing that's been held, but out of courtesy, offer him the chance to present anything in addition he didn't present originally. he may want to present additional material, he may decide not to, but I think I would like not to have it be inferred that somehow we didn't follow our own policy or offer him, every chance. I think it could be construed that hearing was called for previously, that we've held one, but since we're adopting a policy that adds some things to the criteria, I think out of kind of fairness, we might say, does he want to add anything new as opposed to just repeating
Has he
prior?
communicated that he wants to do something like that?
Well, we've communicated with him that we were going to be working on this policy. And one of the things the policy calls for is a recommendation from the executive director to the board. And I've told him that we would expect to make a decision at the September meeting after we've received the recommendation and had a chance to discuss it. And I haven't heard back.
So you
Well,
sort
to
of
me-
indicated that he would have another opportunity.
I didn't. No, I just said that, in light of the policy and the need for a recommendation, that we would be considering it as a board. In other words, after the hearing, the board then considers the information we've learned at the hearing. I said we would be acting as a board probably at the September meeting because we may not meet in August. Well, why don't I try to find out if he'd like to present anything in addition?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe you need to ask him, is there any other information he wants to present to the board? And then go from there.
Okay. All righty. I think that's a good solution to it. Okay. Okay, that completes my part of the report. Cheryl?
Okay, so first is I want to get your input before I have a second conversation with the supervisors and the staff on our next phase reopening. So the only changes or revisions that were that the fines were reinstated for both adult and children's materials. However, the children's cards will be fine free. Right now, Vicki and Lori just are working on the particulars. And we like to implement this in September when the children go back to school. So, they'll be excited. Any children's card will not accrue fines. However, if they lose the book, then they have to pay the replacement cost. And just in addition, a minor thing, so the Friends outdoor cart, the free book cart was reinstated. That we discussed last time, but we just added that we also have the free books indoors as well. The blue teapot will be expanded. And that was it. Oh, hold on. So a couple of things. So we've gotten some complaints that we're the only place that still has people sign in to contact trace and take the temperatures. So we had thought we might do away with that, in addition to doing away with the capacity limits, because we haven't, it's not like people are waiting outside. We think we can do away with that. After I read up on the variant of COVID, I'm wondering, I think we should still either contact trace or take temperatures. I'm not quite comfortable letting go of that protocol. Someone that I know recently contracted COVID. And so at least, if we find someone in the building or one of our patrons has contracted COVID, we can at least contact trace and see who was in, that day. If we need to alert other people, that they may have been exposed. And I think, those were the only changes.
Well, sure, would the requirement of wearing a mask indoors still apply?
Oh, yes.
Um, and,
So the social distance would still be apply and still be strictly enforced. Masks must be worn at all times while in the library. We also had that masks were required outdoors. There's some people who still would like that. We've gotten maybe a little bit of, maybe a couple of patrons have pushed back on that, but not many with the outdoor requirement.
well, I have some comments, but I'd like to hear what other board members feel. And, you know, I circulated, I'm not sure to everybody, but the city sponsored a meeting in the library with its equity task force and had, I don't know, what, 8 people or something present, and nobody was wearing a mask. So it's hard to segregate these issues. I'm first of all concerned about eliminating the restrictions on the number of people who can come in.
Mhm.
Could I ask Cheryl, is there even if people, you know, may not like that or something, are there situations in which there are people waiting to get in often, or?
There are
Can I-
not, and that's why we thought it would be fair to remove. There's some people who are just still not comfortable coming into the library, so they're utilizing the curbside service.
So I guess why not keep the limit on the number of people if there are not a lot of people? I mean, you know, with the variant, with the fact that I think in the state there are only 48% people vaccinated between the ages of 12 and 18,
Mhm.
and there's not the big demand to get in yet. Why don't we? I'm not sure what the justification is for.
I think just movement, people, I think, they just feel that, I guess we're being too cautious, and it will be some sort of movement, but, toward a full reopening. And also with the meeting, it wasn't the city's fault. I think because we had people leaving, the meeting was after hours. And so, I guess people just got comfortable. So what we'll have to do is when we have those meetings is to make sure that either a staff member or somebody is in the meeting, making sure that people have on their masks.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem is that, these things happen.
Mhm.
Um, and-
Sherelle, what is, oh, I'm sorry.
I know. So, I mean, the things I
Protocol, are you required to wear a mask in City Hall?
No, well, it's a little ambiguous. They're suggesting it, but sort of leaving it up to the people.
well, as I understand it, at City Hall, you're required either to be vaccinated or to wear a mask, but it's an honor system of whether you're vaccinated.
Right, exactly.
And also in public schools, all the kids have to wear masks inside. But I did want to mention, as a city, we're all not talking to each other because this open museum space idea is great in concept, but everybody, the North Public School kids are going to be combined with the public who aren't all going to be masked. And I'm talking thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, anyway, so I have a concern about removing the limit at the moment if there's not the demand to get in. I'm not worried about people's perception of the library. That's their problem. I'm not sure about the justification on taking the temperature still. What does that produce, Cheryl? Have they found people? Have they turned away people who have a temperature above normal?
No,
I'm sorry?
no,
Okay.
they haven't.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, it may be that that's not effective or it's not necessary.
Mhm.
So that's the second prong to consider. One is the limit on the number of people. The second is the taking of the temperature. The third is the contact tracing.
Contact tracing.
Have people objected to participating in that?
They haven't objected. People, they've made comments. Like, why are you the only, City Hall has removed the limits. Everybody else has removed the limits. Why are you the only one?
Well,
And of
because,
course, my comment is for everyone's safety.
right, and City Hall's utilization is different than the library's
Exactly.
utilization.
And that's the other thing too. I've mentioned that, in City Hall, people, it's not like you have a group of people just coming in. They're going to specific places and not always right together. So, I mean, usually after I speak to people, they're okay. So nobody's been belligerent, but the comments have been made.
I'm all about masks, but I'm not sure you need them outside.
Right.
If you have a capacity limit, especially for the kids programs, but if you don't have a capacity limit and you have a lot of little kids, like 5 and 6, they don't wear masks, they touch everybody. So I don't know if it's necessary for adult programs, but maybe mandatory for the children's programs.
Is it possible, do you think, Sherelle, to increase the capacity from 10 to 15 at the main library and from 5 to 10 at the branch?
We can do that.
I mean, it's not a big
I
demand to
don't know
get
if this
in.
is helpful, but at the
I
mansion.
mean, I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the
We've-
precautions for the next.
I'm sorry.
Alex, at the mansion, we've
Yeah, I
been
didn't hear you, Pat.
increased capacity, but we're still doing masks for staff and guests.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
I
it's a
don't think
city
anybody.
building.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's proposed doing away with masks. Again, I don't know if, Patsy, maybe the mansion is a little bit closer to the library than City Hall is.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it. Yeah.
Right, yeah, good, yeah. I would think I would think it's still a good idea. I mean, my feeling is this, that we don't need the masks outside for, adult activities, that we don't need to do the temperature taking because it doesn't seem to have produced any real filtering effect. I think we could increase the capacity from 10 to 15 at the main and 5 to 10 at the branch. I think we should still do contract tracing for the time being, given the new variant. Keep the masks on.
Sounds good.
Do those things sound reasonable, Cheryl?
They sound, yeah. Okay. So I will have something,
And look, we're going to readdress these, every couple of months anyway. I mean,
right.
so this is just a temporary interim before we, see what happens at the end of the summer.
Right. We were also thinking of adding passport service by appointment because we have gotten the demand.
I think that's,
And
but you have to assume that you have to requirement that the passport representative and the customer need to be masked.
of course, yeah. And we had also spoken about reinstating meetings with, 10 people and under. So if people wanted to book the room.
Okay, I mean, that seems possible, but I don't want to have the staff stay overtime
Right.
to make sure that the visitors are wearing their masks. So I think we would need to have some requirement as part of the uh, agreement to use room that all the participants be masked.
Okay,
And
got it.
maintain social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cheryl, is it possible you can put up a sign on wherever they're gonna have the meeting rooms and put their mask required and social distancing required on the door
Mm-hmm.
to say that's the policy of the library.
And the capacity too.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So capacity, mask, and social distance. Okay, got it.
Trill, I assume that there are only maybe 1 or 2 rooms in Sono and 2 or 3 at the main branch where you could accommodate 10 people with social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe what we'll do is limit this meeting proviso, just to a few rooms.
We can do that, or we can actually just limit it to the auditorium.
What about what about that boardroom near the kitchen? Is that used by outside groups?
It is. I don't know that we can get 10 people social distance in there.
Maybe have a limit of 5 in there or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really up to you guys in terms of the burden of, scheduling and managing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is good to discuss with the supervisors and then with the staff.
Okay. So maybe what you can do is you and I can discuss it after you do that, and then we'll communicate with the board and see whether the suggestions we've made tonight, whether the staff have additional ones, and go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, if not, I have some really great news. We were awarded a grant from the American Rescue Plan grant to Connecticut for libraries. And the grant was pretty specific. So what we did ask for is a soundproof acoustic office study room pod, because we, have the request for meeting rooms for people to study. It's nice because they'll be enclosed, so they won't necessarily be infecting other people. They'll have to have their mask on, but it'll be a private spot, so somebody can study, someone can tutor, or in the future, they can do the telehealth if they need to meet with their doctors. They can do the telehealth in that room privately. One of the other things is an outdoor solar charging station. People are outside, we're not just an indoor library, we're also an outdoor library. People sit outside to read, they sit outside to socialize, they sit outside, to use their laptops. So we, thought an outdoor solar charging station would be nice. And the city, when they're, either revamping buildings or building, solar energy is always a consideration. So that would be the library's effort or duty towards solar energy. And so you have a picture of the pod, and you have a picture of this.
Where would the pod go? I was kind of curious what you were thinking about.
So we measured a couple of places. One would be over by the computer lab. It would fit nicely there. That's my preference. And then the other would be over outside the Judy room. So, we had Colin do the measurements and, it fit nicely in either space.
Okay.
But I was thinking too, Ralph, do you know where you have your table for your books right now on one side of the column? We were thinking too, if we got another pod, we could put them on either side of the column. And that would be a nice balance. And then to your point of moving the books over closer to Neoli's cafe. So lots of options. Ralph, we can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yes, there's plenty of room there. The tables that are there are simply two unused computer tables that had no purpose, so they became book tables. But they're easily moved, no problem.
Yeah, but I liked your idea because since we're going to put the have Neoli do the book sale, and having those books over there would be nice if people want to browse while they're eating. But just there's a lot of options. So.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
Shirella,
the other,
I'm sorry, go
yes. No, that's okay.
ahead. If we get a second pod, I would like to see that installed at the Sono branch.
Okay. We'd have to see if there's room.
Why don't we check?
Pardon?
It's such a good idea
It really
That-
is.
in terms of privacy and the needs people have expressed that I'd like to put it there if you can find room. So I would urge you to find room.
I think there is one right outside so we were thinking about it, but right outside the teen room. Because people also need the office space, like they come in, they can use their phones and they don't have to worry about, because it's soundproof. So they can use it as, a little office. It's just so many possibilities. And the other
Yeah,
two,
I'd like to sort of,
I'm sorry?
I'd like to try to keep the facilities as equitable as possible in terms of this kind of need, which I think serves
Of
everybody.
course. Yeah, thank you for that. And so the other thing.
Congratulations on getting the grant.
I was shocked. Yes. Yeah, I was very happy. So very, very happy. And so we're trying to get away from chairs. Obviously COVID, hygienic chairs that we can easily clean, spot clean or deep clean. So Sharon said her, hold on one second.
No, I'm good now. I'm sorry.
You're back? Okay.
I keep going in and out my internet connection because the storm is really bad. So if I disappear, I'll come back.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So children's, they had a really great partnership with the Lithuanian group, and they purchased some chairs for them. And so Vicki wanted to expand the chair so she would have aesthetically, everything would be the same, easy to clean and that sort of thing. So she'll get her chairs. And then Cindy, when we reopened for computer appointments, we used some of the chairs that were in Studio One. And so we'll just, order more chairs so there's consistency. So we can easily wipe them down. We don't have to worry about the cushions, holding germs or whatever else could be in those cushions. And so, and then PPE. So we thought we'd get some more masks. Right now, we have a PPE account that the city is paying. We don't know for how long that will last. So we just thought we'd get masks, to keep on hand for staff and also for patrons. We won't advertise that they're for patrons, but if somebody comes in, they forget their mask, here's a mask. So now I wish I would have asked for a little bit more, but this is a great start.
Good.
Yep. Let's see. And so the other thing, we have an 8-week collaboration with Norwalk Public Schools, the Carver Center, and After the Bell. The Blues and Beyond will present, an hour. They'll teach the history of the blues, and the kids will have a chance to listen to them sample different instruments like the harmonica and different things. So today was actually the first meeting. So, so we think it'll be a nice collaboration.
So how many kids, was it sort of in person or Zoom or what's the,
No, it's all Zoom.
okay. Is it possible to monitor how many kids tuned in?
So today there were 54 kids.
Great.
And next week, I guess, my understanding is the total that they have is 80 students, but today there were 54.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mhm. So, and that's it for me.
Great. Okay. So we've had two tabled items and I don't think we're prepared to take them up tonight unless anybody feels strongly about doing that. If not, then we'll see if anybody has any new business to bring up. And if not, entertain a motion to adjourn. Been an unusually efficient meeting today. This is great.
I'll move.
Ralph moves. All right. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Any objection? Then now, does everybody have the Zoom connection for the foundation meeting?
I didn't see mine. But where is
It's
it?
the same. It's the exact same. So
Okay.
when yeah, I made it so it's the exact same through December.
Okay. Awesome.
It came on July 6th.
Pardon?
It came on July 6th was your email. If people
So-
are
Yeah.
yeah,
But
because I
that
have,
link, once you register for the link, it'll be the same link each time.
Okay.
So it's not a new link
Yeah.
each time, it's the same link. Once
okay.
you register,
Well,
it'll send the
link
link to your
doesn't show
email.
up kind of unless you register.
I'm sorry?
Well, it didn't send it to Ralph, so I had to send him my registration information. So
Ralph was registered at the last meeting.
I know, I'm just saying
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it didn't come up with the blue line this time. It stayed black. So I couldn't click onto it. So Alex sent me his copy, which had the blue, and I could click on, no problem.
okay, well, anyway. So give us a call if you can't find it, and otherwise we're adjourned and we'll convene the foundation meeting in a very few minutes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.